South African Medical Technology Industry Association has launched a groundbreaking initiative, the Women Empowerment Index. Now, this is designed to monitor and motivate the progress attained for enhanced economic inclusion and empowerment of women within the medtech domain. For more information, I'm joined by Peter Mehlape, who is the Managing Director of Medtronic and the Chairperson of SAMED. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on News at Prime, Peter. Tell us a little bit about SAMED briefly.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to your platform. SAMED stands for South African Medical Devices Industry. Is governing body for the medical devices or medtech sector for the entire industry, ensuring better compliance to regulatory processes to make sure that the products that are brought or put to market are in good shape to be used and safe to be used by patients. But also SAMED's role is to empower and support its members and elevate and make sure that the medtech sector is contributing positively to the economy of South Africa, amongst other things.
And from your findings as well with your members, particularly with women in the industry, what are you finding to be the economic gender gap? Is it being breached?
There's still a big gap. I think, Thursday, as you know, we launched the, a big step for us, the Women Empowerment Index, to enable the sector and members of SAMED to be able to self-check as a foundation, to address a big problem that we've seen in our sector. It's, it's something that is meant to address a gap that we see in our sector. We, up until recently, it's been funny for me to say this, but it's been a men's world. So it's meant to check the current status for the members, and so that we can be able to intervene, not blindly, but know where we are. And up until recently, it's been a lot of, I feel we're not empowered, I feel we're not where we're supposed to be. The empowerment index, the Women Empowerment Index is there to, make sure that people operate and correct from a very, correct standpoint. And I must say, it's not just a, flash in the pan. It's not just a knee jerk. We've been very systemically working on this since I was elected as chairman of the board a year and a half ago. We started working aggressively in collaboration with YES also to bring the next generation of youth, through that platform. We're able to recruit to the sector. About 70% of the youth who are coming are female, which means we're creating a good foundation for us going forward. Number two, we started really creating a lot of forums and platforms for women leaders and women in medtech to be able to be seen, to be able to be empowered and participate and all that. And I can say this is such a big step in an industry that lacks champions and heroes in terms of, transformation and putting women first.
Have you had any collaboration with perhaps the Department of Health or any forms of government assistance as well?
We've obviously, without assistance, but one of the big objectives for us as a board is to drive stakeholder collaboration. We've been collaborating with WICONA, which is the Women Economic Assembly, and which is chaired by Advocate Mehlape, who's also Director General of the Ministry of Women and Children, and also Dr. Futhi Mtoba, who's a co-chairperson for that. So those are the big collaboration I think that we've been working on. Remember, this is their platform. We're just doing our part as a sector to contribute and do what we can do.
And as a sector as well, do you have those figures to kind of paint a picture of how many women are in that industry as well?
So the index is creating that baseline in terms of, where each member company is, and then we're going to aggregate that to the sector and say, this is where we are, and we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to a respectable level of women empowerment and youth and drive the whole diversity in our sector. I mean, I think this is going to be, it's a one of a kind. It's going to be example for many sectors. I don't know any sector in South Africa, be it fintech, IT, automobile, fast-moving consumer goods. I don't know of any sector that has done something like this. So it's probably going to be the best, standards for everybody to follow. And also we see it as, it's not a 100-meter sprint. This is a marathon. We're going to build on gradually as a sector while other sectors are learning and copying and borrowing some of this.
So you're going to basically create a whole huge portal that has a lot of data and that people can be able to then monitor that sector as well and say how many women are employed, where are they unemployed, what kinds of jobs are these, but also let's talk about opportunities for leadership positions. Will that also be one of the outcomes for this index?
Yeah, of course. I mean, most companies have some sort of target, aspiration, ambition to get more women in leadership. For instance, the company where I'm the CEO, Medtronic, Southern Africa, we have a target of having 45% of leaders in the company. We've been able to, by we, I mean Medtronic, we've been able to kind of walk the talk in terms of making sure that we exceed those targets, those aspirations. I can, comfortably tell you that my exco today is got about 60% of the leaders are female and very diverse. So if, we're preaching this from a standpoint of having done this, knowing that is doable. So, of course, I mean, success is varied depending on the companies, but this is almost a vital science check for any company. If you want to see if you're well, you check your temperature, your blood pressure, and those vital, in as far as women empowerment is concerned, how many women do you have in your leadership team? How many women you have as managers? How diverse they are? What is the pay like for women? Is it at parity with men, or are you still paying women less? What is the pipeline of women coming up? Do you have a strong bench of women coming up, or you kind of, in a crisis mode every time you have to hire a position that probably, is supposed to be taken by a female leader or so. We've created for instance, I'm giving you an example where I know the details. We take about 40 to 80 young graduates as part of this year's, creating a foundation, the next generation layers of employees and leaders who are coming to our sector. So if we want to hire a rep, a marketer, or somebody, we hire from this pool. The good thing is, as I mentioned earlier, is 70% of this young graduate pool is female.
And that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about next as well, because, there is a focus, of course, on the Women's Empowerment Index, but also there's the youth portal, the SAMTIA youth portal. You've touched on that a little bit, but tell us a bit more about that.
So we've, about 3 years ago, encouraged SAMED member companies to drive hard this young graduate program. And, I'm happy to say about 42 companies have embraced this. And the portal is really meant for those young graduates that are there. I think we have over 100,000 of young graduates in the sector. And as they graduate, because they're supposed to spend a year and a half with, a company, they go into a portal where they obviously start looking into permanent roles within the sector. Up until about 2-3 years ago, we as a sector, we've been kind of basically fighting for the small pool of talent every time. And of course, there's been some challenges in that. For instance, in our case, if we take 40 to 80, we can't retain all of them. We're basically creating them for the sector. But I must admit, the connection with them has been very strong. And sometimes it feels like a fly fishing, catch and release. And but you're releasing for the greater and entire medtech sector and indeed the whole South African economy, which is good.
It's a positive catch and release, as you're mentioning, because we do have an unemployment crisis, but also we have a skills shortage crisis in some sectors as well. So that must help quite tremendously.
Yeah, it's a very nice bridge for these young graduates. They say experience tells that if you had experience to have worked for a year, you have more chances of going ahead to work, permanently. I think as a sector, we are part of the solution, creating a platform. We driving and advocate for this, maybe in a kind of a economy or environment that doesn't have many champions that are driving this. And I think it's making a big difference for, some of the young graduates who joined very, disorientated and dizzy, have grown up to take managerial positions. Some of the best cases is, these young graduates have been promoted twice or 3 times in 1 year to show how agile they are.
Well, it really does sound like a fantastic initiative, so thank you so much for coming up with that and for joining us this evening and sharing about it. That was Peter Mehlape, who is the Managing Director of Medtronic and the Chairperson of SAMED.